This is the Grief Talk Podcast with Vaughn Solis, helping you heal after loss and life's hardest hits. My guest today is Kijuan Amey, founder of Amey Motivation, LLC. Kijuan is a blind U.S. Air Force veteran, motivational speaker, and mentor from Durham, North Carolina. A former staff sergeant and in-flight refueling specialist, he turned tragedy into triumph after losing his eyesight in a 2017 motorcycle accident. Kijuan now empowers others through keynote speaking, mentorship with the Air Force Wounded Warriors, and his book, Don't Focus on Why Me. With over 25 years of drumming experience and a background in acting, he brings passion and purpose to every stage. Kijuan is a true catalyst for transformation and resilience. Okay, so welcome, audience, to this amazing episode with Kijuan Amey, otherwise known as Kiwi. Kiwi, welcome to my podcast. I am honored to have you here.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate the response through email that we did actually connect through. You were so opening and welcoming to having me on your show, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, likewise. I always really appreciate that email back and forth, getting to know you. Well, I got your book. And as a recap, audience, I just want to remind you that I will say Kijuan in his more formal name, basically has an amazing background and inspiring story to tell. We're going to tell you all about it. Essentially, this is an inspirational, courageous, adventurous journey he has gone on since 2017 after having the world in his hands and losing almost everything at age 25 in a motorcycle accident. One may call it tragic, one may call it miraculous. Kiwi, we're going to talk about what you ended up viewing that accident as, that left you without your sight, basically having to learn everything all over again. We're going to talk about some bits and pieces of that, all of which you have put in your book. We're going to talk a lot about your journey that you wrote in a very succinct book. And as an author of 3 books, you know, I read your book and I found it so concise, so impacting with every word you wrote. And almost, you know, you could use it as a pocketbook and just go to any page at any point in all of the lessons that you provide people. So I really encourage anyone watching or listening to this episode to get your book. I'm going to keep it. I got it from Kindle Unlimited, but I'm going to hang on to that. And I really felt like I got to know you. But getting back to a little bit of your background, before the accident happened, when you were 25, you had been in the Air Force from 2011 to 21. You were an in-flight refueling specialist, which is pretty cool. And you write a little bit about that in your book. If anyone wants to know about that, we're going to talk about what you actually did, because that's I find that piece, it was such a almost spectacular career from my point of view. I want you to talk about, because losing that, holy crap, okay? Like losing, you worked hard to get it. And so we're going to talk a little bit about that. And you also advanced to staff sergeant before your medical retirement. Grief all in itself, being forced to have to leave due to your accident. Then you enroll in a 4-year university program. You're now the founder and CEO of Kiwi Enterprise. Are you still the vice president of the Carolina Regional Group Blinded Veterans Association?
No, my stint is over.
That's over, but you did that. And I believe, are you currently a mentor and ambassador for the Air Force Wounded Warriors program? So you're still doing that. So jam-packed life, regardless of what happened. So I want to dive in because I emailed this to you, and I'll say it again here on the episode for others to hear. As a bereaved mom for 20 years, for my daughter who passed by suicide in July 2005, so this year marked 20 years for me, I don't get inspired easily by people. But I was inspired by you as soon as I opened your book. And so I really respect and honor your journey. And there's just something about you, the way you deliver your messages, your sense of humor, your grit, your guts, your courage. And every page I read, I put myself in your situation. And then I did a little bit of a, oh God, but wait a minute, you went through your own journey
Yeah.
that some people would say was the worst thing that could ever happen, and which can make us feel excuse me, really different and isolated, and and I don't know if that's true. But then I'm reading yours, and then I'm imagining myself losing my sight, which would be the probably the next biggest fear I have. And I'm going to be blunt about that. When any of us humans think about losing one of our senses, I would wager the first one most people would not want to lose would be their sight. And here you are. Okay. And we're going to talk about some details that you talk about in your book. Just excruciatingly waking up to that from your coma. Oh my God. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. But I'd like to dive in now. And Kiwi has allowed me to call him Kiwi because we're friends, and that anybody can call you Kiwi, right? And so we're going to dive in, and I want to start with you kind of just explaining for the audience. So you're 8 years since your accident. So how that felt at the time, whatever you want to explain, and this would be for somebody who hasn't yet read your book, wants to know more about it from, buying your book, but also in looking back, you say that you felt on top of the world. Everything was looking up: independence, career, relationships, social life, a future. So going back to that moment, and you wake up in the hospital, um, yeah, what was that like for you?
Ugh. Well, at first when I woke up, I felt I felt very well rested.
Mm.
Because I had been in a medically induced coma for a month.
Right.
So, which I had no idea yet. I'm just like, wow, I slept really good last night. you know, that's all I felt. I was like, oh man, this feels so good. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Why do I hear people talking in my bedroom? Because I'm thinking I'm in my bed at home. And so I'm like, where are these voices coming from? And who are they? like,
Yeah.
and now it's time to either, well, at first I identified the voices to make sure I didn't need to go into like some kind of protective mode because again, don't forget, I am in the military. Oh, this point, I was it was in the military. So I'm like, my right side, so of my bedroom in my apartment, I used to sleep, which I still do to this day, the furthest away from the door.
Oh, okay.
So I don't sleep closest to the bedroom door. I sleep the furthest away. Why do I do that? Because now the bed is my guard. It's like protection from if somebody were to have like bullets or something to shoot at me. Now it would be I can have something to prop up on and fire my weapon. And now all you see is this up. You don't see my whole body. Versus I'm on the same side of the door with you. Now you got all exposure to me. Hmm. You know what I mean? So that was my thought process was to be like, oh, I need to flip off my bed and drop down, grab my gun. Thankfully, I didn't. I wouldn't have went too far
Oh,
because there were like, there were the bed rails,
the bed rails. Yeah.
but I couldn't fall off. And so luckily, I didn't move. I just kind of stayed there, kind of acting as if I was still asleep because I'm now identifying the voices, which I ended up identifying it was my mom and my girlfriend, well, ex-girlfriend at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they were there in my hospital room. And I'm like, what the heck are they doing here? Now I know why my girlfriend would be here, but why the heck is my mom here?
Yeah.
So I'm not ready for anybody to be in my room. and so that's when things started to get a little, you know, uh, weird and awkward for me because I'm listening to their conversation and it's talking about, which I write in the book, it's talking about an accident, a motorcycle accident, but they never say who. That's the thing. They never say who. Clearly. Because I would have understood. I never would have asked the question, well, who's in the accident? But I'm trying to piece this thing together. And you know how you're like watching a TV show, one of your favorite soaps or something, and you're like, will you guys just come on? And then it goes to the gets to the end of the show and it says to be continued. And I'm like, eh, that's how I felt. Like you guys did not just leave me on a cliffhanger.
Yeah,
So I finally, go to try to let them know that I'm awake and I open my eyes and I could see nothing. I see the same thing right now that I saw on May 5th, 2017, as well as June the 6th when I woke up in the hospital, 2017. I
yeah.
see the same exact thing. Which is nothing except for a little bit of light perception on my right eye, but I can't see any light right now at the hospital because the lights have to be really bright. Like, it's gotta be sunlight bright.
Mm,
Yeah. So, I noticed that I can't see, but I do like how you're one of those hard blinks to try to clear your eyes up? My vision's a little blurry. I try to reopen my eyes and still nothing.
Jesus. Yeah.
And so then, the panic is setting in and I, go to try to speak. And hear me clearly, I said try.
Mhm.
Because, as you know, my jaw was broken. It was wired shut.
Mhm.
There's no speaking. The same way you're doing, that's the same way I was talking. There's nothing coming out but noise.
Wow. I just wanna stop you right there.
Go ahead.
You write about that in the book, and I don't think I'm ever going to forget y that you describing that experience in my life.
Yeah.
I don't think I'm gonna forget it because that stopped me in my tracks, and I imagined I was you, okay? And I just thought, "What would you do? What would you do?" Because even as you're talking about it now, I feel like I would be in a prison. You can't move, can't talk, can't see. That would be one of my worst nightmares, having already gone through the worst one. But you know what I'm saying?
No, I got exactly what you're saying.
Yeah. And so this is where people be inspired by Kiwi. Imagine what you would do. And my thing is, I don't think a lot of people put themselves in other people's shoes. They
No.
want to, like, no, I don't want to think about that.
Right.
Anyway,
Exactly.
this is why your story is so important. Okay. And how you tell it. Okay. So then what? So then what?
So then, uh, I told you the panic was setting in.
Yeah.
Well, now at this point when I can't talk, I actually hit the panic button. There's no longer setting in. It's now all full blown alarms blaring. We're going crazy now, you know? And
I mean, are you just feeling around for a device to hit a button or?
I'm trying to, I'm trying to talk, and
Mhm.
yet I hear my mom and, ex girlfriend.
Yeah.
They come to each side of my bed.
Uh-huh.
And, my mom's like, What's going on? Are you okay? Are you okay?" I'm like, "No." So, like, obviously, first off, I'm in a hospital and I didn't even know it. Who did this? So,
Ye
why can't I see anything? And, I mean, when I tell you the questions are flying, but they are not understanding a word.
Yeah, because you can't talk.
No, and they're my best to murmur, and they're like, "Wait, wait, wait." And I'm
Yeah.
like, Okay, wait for what? Like, is this gonna get better?"
Mm.
And it actually got worse. Oh, and
Yeah.
how did it get worse? She hands me a pen and a notepad.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, what do I do with this? Yeah, you do realize I can't see right now, right? So anyway, I do my best because she was like, just try to write and try your best not to write over top of what you wrote. Okay, easier said than done.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
Um, but I did. I did do that, and the only question I asked,
Mhm.
just one,
Mm.
what is this motorcycle accident dream y'all are talking about? And yes, I use the word dream because they never did say who it was.
Yeah.
And so I said dream, and my mom read it, and then she looks up at me. She said, "Oh, that's not a dream. That's what happened to you."
Yeah. Mm.
So yeah, June the 6th, um, at that moment, I stopped communicating.
Wow.
There was no more communicating. I think I might have put this in my book. You could have came in there and did whatever you wanted to me, and I wouldn't have cared
Wow.
because life just set in. It really just hit me like literally a ton of bricks.
Mhm.
And now I'm trying to figure out, wait, what? I was in a motorcycle accident? But I'm not a crazy rider. Why would I be in a motorcycle accident?
Mhm.
Did I fall? Like,
Mm.
did I hit a patch of grass? Like what?
Mhm.
Did I turn a corner too fast? What happened? This is everything I'm asking myself. I don't know anything. Why am I asking myself these questions?
Mhm. Right.
I couldn't recall a thing at that time.
Mhm.
Why? It wasn't that I had, a terrible memory. It was that I was all hyped up on freaking medication that recalling stuff wasn't easy. My brain was fogged out. I'm on oxy. I'm on, these pain meds. I'm just coming out of anesthesia from the medically induced coma. Like,
Mhm. Yeah.
I don't know why. I didn't even know where I was. So that tells you right there, I have no clue what happened. And are you have a question?
I have
Oh, go
a
ahead.
question. It just came to me, and you can or you don't have to answer, but, like, in the military, were you trained for anything like that, a capture or something that would maybe have helped you, sort of like ask yourself these questions, like almost have I don't know, an analytical, but some reasoning for it. Like, are you trained for that? Because most people wouldn't be. Do you know what I'm saying?
I know I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I started smiling because I was trained specifically during my instructor school when I was when I was as an in-flight refueling specialist. When
Right.
you go to become an in-flight refueling specialist, you learn questions. You learn how to question.
Okay.
I mean, and when I say learn how to question,
Yeah.
I could ask you so many questions. I don't even have to know nothing about your life.
Right.
Like it's just one of those things. As soon as you start doing something or start to speak on something, I could so why would it do that? Why
Yeah.
would you be looking for this? What like they teach you how to ask questions.
Right. Are you also, though, and I want to say this sensitively, um, in that position that you were doing as a specialist, in-flight refueling specialist, are you also trained for the possibility of death? Is it that, like, is it a really risky profession?
Well, well, I mean, yeah, we don't have parachutes on my plane.
So I guess what I'm saying is the grit that you have, and like all through the book I'm reading, which, by the way, folks, it's not a really long read, but just very impacting on every page,
Yeah.
which I really appreciated. But I was just wondering if there was something about your, I wasn't thinking it then, I'm thinking it now, about your training that would give you some kind of, I don't know, like I said, I don't know what the word is because it's not strength, it's not perspective, but just something, coping skills. That's what I'm looking for.
Resilience?
Well, right in the waking up, you're not resilient yet, right? But if you're waking up, and as you were describing earlier, I sleep on the right side of the bed. I got my gun, I ready, I do this. That is a I can't even think of the word what that is, but a very prepared approach to being risk averse. But I'm just wondering if that has formed part of your personality to just face everything you have faced with such resilience, and a seriously positive attitude, which we're also going to get into, but also in those moments waking up like, oh crap, This is what I trained for. You just don't know yet it's been from a motorcycle accident. And
Well,
that
I mean,
way,
you do get the preparatory trainings.
yeah.
That's kinda where that mindset of dropping to the one side of the bed, because we did have to shoot on one knee. We had to lie prone, which is laying on your belly.
Yeah.
There are different ways we had to shoot. So that was, well,
Mm.
okay. You know how you see a cop shooting over a car,
Yes.
like over the trunk of a car or the hood of a car.
Yeah.
That was what I would have been doing at the bed.
Okay.
Yeah, it would have been like that. So that's what I meant by that. But as far as like that accident, I don't know if I had anything that could have prepared me for that.
Prepared you, yeah. Yeah, I think the whole description, I'm trying to think of my word or word, is like survivor skills.
Yeah.
As survivor skills, and
I
so
mean, I
you
did go through survival school. There was a
or
survival school training that I did go through.
yeah.
It's called SEER,
Okay.
and we had to. It stands for survival, e- escape, resistance, and evasion.
Okay.
SEER. That's what SEER stands for.
Okay. Oh, okay. So, but here's the point I want to make, that despite all of that, here you are, understandably, uh, panicked, you know, but I'm still wondering if you handled it way better than people without training. That's, we'll never know. You'd have to be in the
Right.
situation, and
Exactly.
we're not comparing. It's striking me now, like, because I'm in awe of you, and and so I don't want to say that in a way that makes your um accident and your loss of sight, like, isolating and, oh, poor you, and sympathy. No,
Nah.
I'm in awe of you as someone who's trudged basically in my own lane of a lot of what you describe, and different set of circumstances, and yeah, just how you've handled it. I just wanted to put that out there. So your mom tells you to write on this pad, but something you also say in your book was that, did I get this right? That she had told you you had been communicating with her when you were in a coma? Is that right? Or did I make that up?
Apparently not just her, my friend too.
Really?
So one of my friends, him and his ex-girlfriend now, but my uh, uh they used to come visit me,
Hmm.
and Jesus Christ, because they would tell him, "Don't make me laugh," because I had a tracheotomy, so that would choke me.
Yeah.
Well, his numbskull self would make me laugh and have to take off and go get somebody to, fix it, correct the situation. Now, that's one side of it. The other side is the girlfriend that he used to have, his ex-girlfriend. She would be like they would be in there talking to me, like similar to how my mom and my ex-girlfriend were on each side of my bed.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to communicate with them, but they're not understanding. They're like, "Well, oh, we can't stand it. We can't understand you," is what they're telling me I was doing. And I was like, "Give me your phone. Give me your phone." Like, I'm doing gestures, hand gestures. And so she hands me her phone. I've never used a Samsung a day in my life, by the way. I'm an iPhone user.
Yeah,
Not
me
to
too.
say I'm not throwing any shade on anybody, but I literally, hello, cannot see, remember,
Right?
go to her messages and start typing what I wanted them to know. And I handed it back to her. She told me, "You might have missed 2 words."
Wow. Do you have any idea, like, why you think you could do that?
Subconscious mind is powerful, that's all I'll say.
Yeah. Right.
That is all I could say, is that the subconscious mind with the muscle memory is truly powerful,
That and
you
divine
know?
intervention and
That
guidance.
too.
Wow. Well, see, that's not in your book.
Nah, it's not, but because I didn't find that out until later.
Oh,
I didn't find that out until after I wrote my book, and they were like, because I think they read what you read, and they were like, "Man, you should have known all the stuff you was doing in there." And that's when they told me that, after they read the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, so trust me, there are other stories that started to come out after they read the book. But see, the reason I wrote this book was from my perspective.
Mhm.
I was trying to give people what I was doing and what was coming from what I was dealing with versus what everybody else was telling me. You know what I mean? So that's why I didn't put a lot of those stories in there.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. How long did it take you to I think I read that when you first learned about this, you shut everyone out for at least 24 hours and wouldn't speak to anybody. But how long would you say it took you in that hospital to really come to terms with you were the guy in that motorcycle accident and um and when they started to give you answers to what really had happened, because I'm sure that they were trying to protect you and all this stuff, but did they start to give you answers right away about what actually happened? And when you had that, did that information help you come to terms with, holy crap, this is my situation?
Oh yeah, no, as soon as I asked the questions, they were giving me answers.
Okay.
It was it kind it's kinda like they didn't have much of a choice. You know what I mean? Because this was about me in a sense, and to the point where I I don't know what if you're withholding the information, how is it benefiting me? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right.
It'll start to hurt me more than anything.
Yeah.
I'm already stuck in a terrible situation, and now you're making it even worse by withholding information. So, what I will say about the other side of this, in regards to me, wanting to be able to pivot into, okay, this is my life.
Yeah.
That was a day by day process. So why do I say day by day? Because some days literally were better than others, and some just flat out sucked.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there were days I couldn't do stuff. There were days I was using the bathroom on myself. I don't like these things because it feels like I'm no longer in control. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this is where my book title comes on in. Don't focus on why me because all I was doing. Why does this have to happen to me right now? You know what I mean? And that's all I kept questioning God about. Why me? And so once he started showing me why you or why you can do this,
Mm-hmm.
that right there
Yeah.
was what really ignited a fire in me.
Yeah.
And I was it was to the point where I started showing off. Okay. Like I was starting to show off. And what do I mean? What do I
Mm-hmm.
mean by this? When I would go to the physical rehab, I would I would go in there and they would have me lifting weights one day, and I'd be like, "Oh yeah, I cannot make this up. I almost flipped the machine over because I was pushing that thing so hard. I am not lying." He was like, "Hey, hey, calm down." I, I said, "Y'all better put some more weight on here." He's like, "That's the max."
But that's what I'm saying. Just listening to you even talk right now, it's like, so how long was that before you started physical therapy? From lying in the bed, when did they get you to get moving?
Well, now there were 2 phases of physical therapy. The first one was actually in bed therapy, and then the second one was what I was just telling you about,
Right.
me actually going to the facility. Yeah, I was on the 7th floor then, at UNC Hospital, and so once they would wheel me down to the physical therapy, room, but they also made me wheel myself. Yes, I said that
Oh,
correctly. They made me wheel myself,
yeah.
and I'm
Jesus.
like, what are we doing? Why is nobody pushing me?" And he was like, "Just follow my voice." I was like, "I don't think you understand. I'm blind."
Yeah. See, that wasn't in the book either, but this is why I love talking to you.
I'm telling you, some stuff I had to keep for myself.
Yeah, okay, well, you want me to edit this out? Anyway, I think it's I think it's so important, but so here's the thing. How long after the accident was this happening? A month?
This was so of course it was over a month because literally remember my accident was May 5th.
May
I
5th.
didn't wake up. until June the 6th.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
The whole month right
That's
there.
a whole month. Yeah.
So this was like maybe, and I was talking by this time, so my wire was off.
Okay.
And I think it took them another. I think it took them another week or so to take that off after I woke up.
Mm-hmm.
That was the longest week of my life.
I'll bet. Yeah, because you like to talk, I'm sure.
And eat. Oh, and eat. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, food first, talk later.
They were thank you. They were feeding me via a gastrointestinal tube.
Okay.
You know, that's what my medication and the protein and all that stuff was going in.
You know,
I already had an IV, so that was where my fluids were coming from, so I wasn't worried about that. But that's how I was eating, and I'm like, "This is weird." Like,
the discipline.
and I don't like a week. It was like, "Yes, you have." I was like, "No, I haven't. I want to
keep the-
physically eat."
The discipline you would have had to show. You know, I'm just sitting here like going, wow. 'Cause I'm a fairly impatient person, which I've tried to, teach myself not to be. But the discipline, mental, emotional, physical, spiritual, everything, just to be basically almost still
Yeah.
and in the darkness.
Well, look, in the darkness, whether the lights are on or off.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. See, I mean, just feeding that back to you is like for most of us that haven't had to go through that, it's like yikes. And but speaking from the perspective of going through something where people would be, oh, when they hear about my child's suicide, and like, oh God, so I'm reacting to a little bit like that, but I get that, the discipline, and we don't, and the reason I'm bringing it up is because I don't think we think about it enough, for ourselves, the discipline that we've had to demonstrate to develop the resilience, to be honest, from my perspective, amongst other things. So I still don't get though where this wheeling down the hall and the guy says, follow my voice. And you're like, well, you have no choice because they're not wheeling you. This is where I feel like the grit, I just keep coming up with this word, the grit you have to just like do it.
And at first, I'm not joking. I said, because the ex-girlfriend that I was telling you about,
Yeah.
I told her, I said, take me back to the room. If he's not gonna wheel me down this hall, take me back to the room right now. And she's like, I can't do that. I said, what do you mean you can't do it?
Yeah.
And she was like, he told me he was gonna do this. I said, and you agreed?
Yeah.
It's one of those moments. And you agreed to it? He was like, we're not going back. You gotta come on. We gotta go to physical therapy. You're eating into our time. Then I'm like, what is going on? I said, what if I run into somebody? He said, trust me, they'll get out of your way.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this was the most nerve-wracking thing I had ever done since, waking up.
Yeah.
And I couldn't just, say, well, I'm going to go back to my room because I didn't know where it was.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I didn't know where it was. I was literally, they had already put me in a hallway.
Mm-hmm.
You had already made some turns from my room. So I don't know where I need to turn, where I need to go. I can't just reach up on the wall and say, this is my room, because I don't even know what room I'm in. So anyway, I went down the hall.
I just have,
Here's a question for you. You're going to say you went down the hall, but I'm going to ask you, are our senses designed when you find yourself suddenly in this situation? Can you really follow a voice? And our senses will actually hone in at that point. And even without being able to see, you could follow his voice when he told you to.
My ears basically, so if you ever start, and I'm sure you're going to start doing this now, but if you ever close your eyes and hear somebody talking,
Yeah.
just turn your ear one way.
Okay, I'm doing it.
This ear won't be picking up the same that the ear that's turned to them is. But if you're turned facing them,
Mm-hmm.
you know that you're going the right way. So I was just putting his voice in the center of my hearing.
Interesting.
Okay.
And that's all I did. I even do that. Well, I started doing that when I was doing my walking as well. Like, or we call it orientation and mobility training. The guy, instead of using his voice, he would be walking and
Clapping.
doing that noise.
Yeah. Okay.
And I just had to follow it.
Yeah.
You know, you just any sound, and your job is to put that sound in where you're in your pathway.
Mm-hmm. The reason I'm bringing that up really briefly is just because I think that a lot of people are very, unaware of their senses and put very little, thought into the beauty of these senses that we do have. And it sounds like when we lose one, we overcompensate in another area eventually to be able to survive it, the loss of that sense.
That's
Yeah, that's a focus.
Yeah, interesting.
You know, I sit here thinking about it. Just think about this. Say you were in like a crowded area and you were walking one way and somebody behind you noticed you. They were like, they just called your name, yelled it out.
Mhm.
Kijuan. And they were like, oh, and you knew which direction it came from because you heard it come from behind you.
Mm,
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing.
it's just most of us don't think about it like that, right? And so this is just a little plug to honor your senses, folks, because I think, in every capacity to be, really aware and grateful for what we do have, for sure, but also hone them. And probably, anyway, that's another topic.
And by the way, you know this, but some of your listeners may not.
Mm.
I lost two senses. Two senses. One, eyesight.
Yeah.
Two, smell.
Did you?
Yeah, I lost my sense.
Yeah.
I lost my sense to smell when they did the reconstructive surgery on my face because they had to put the metal plates in my head, so they had to go in through my face.
Wow, I did not know that. Jesus.
But I breathe just fine.
Wow. So that's a permanent one. That loss of smell is also permanent.
Mm,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. That's all I'm going to say. Okay. Double whammy. Okay. And you didn't have mobility either. I do vividly remember you talking about the bars, the parallel bars, and taking that first step. This is sticking with me too. And you going, this is a step closer to the outcome I want. I'm paraphrasing.
The quote is, "You have to begin with the end in mind." So what the end was when I was at the parallel bars was the end of the parallel. So I have to get from this point to that point. But in order for me to get to that end point, I have to take the first step.
Yeah.
You can't go unless you take that first step. I promise you won't get to that to the end unless you take that first step and then follow it up with more steps after.
But that's so powerful. You have to begin with the end in mind. That is a powerful, powerful quote. And when I read that, your experience about that, because you were in a lot of pain at that point,
Yes.
and I know you'd write about having those shots that you absolutely hated,
Blood clot shot.
blood clot shots, and I didn't realize those were painful.
Yeah.
Holy smokes!
I didn't either.
But for the audience, tuning into this, just stop for a second and think about the absolute worst thing that you are afraid to face. Because most people that I've come across, as long as life's kind of going smooth for them, everything's kind of great, they live in this state of, I hope it never happens to me, But when you can actually imagine something happening to you, you don't want it to, but I think this is a little bit of a way to discipline yourself to have the resilience, because that statement you had, you have to begin with the end in mind. You know what I did when I read that, Kiwi? I went, I wonder if I did that when I became bereaved and I just didn't know that I was doing that. And the answer was yes. So it's very, very powerful for people to imagine themselves in a situation. And while I'm going to jump to this early, it's important and fits in this, what we're talking about here, because you also write in the book that you practiced going around in the dark when you were a kid. And I see you smiling.
Yes.
And I'm just remembering this. I'm just remembering this now to tell you this. I used to sometimes sit at our dining room table and imagine my daughter's chair being empty. Before she passed.
Right.
And when I read that about your practicing in the dark, and also, if I'm correct, you say you played the drums in the dark with your eyes closed quite a bit.
My eyes closed.
With your eyes closed. That's what I meant to say. And it made me wonder, and this is only if you want to comment, but otherwise just food for thought. It makes me wonder if sometimes we tap into our life, also what I sometimes call incarnation, with what we're a bigger purpose and what we're going to have to go through. Maybe not the actual experience, but in my case, imagining my daughter not being in her chair. And I wouldn't do it like, well, she's not in her chair. I would do it more like, oh, it would be horrible if a family, didn't have a child sitting in their chair like that. So it wasn't immediate, like, oh, I hope she doesn't die. It was a little bit removed from that. But like you going around in the dark and saying, I think you said, I wonder if this prepared me for my future. Did you say that? But if not, I'm asking if that, do you think that's even possible, that we could be preparing ourselves for our future?
Uh, the cliche, however you want to phrase it, everything happens for a reason.
Yeah.
I believe in that.
Yeah, me too.
I believe in that because I was navigating life as a child, as an adult, whether I was outside playing hide and seek at night. I was one of the best when we played, especially when we played at night. Oh, I was the best
Wow.
when we played at night.
Yeah.
And like I told you, my eyes being closed, playing the drums was at church. Had no clue I was doing it.
Yeah.
Hear me clearly. I had no idea I was even doing it. I was being told that by other people.
Interesting.
So when I say everything happens for a reason, the reason I say that is because I still play the drums. They're here behind me.
Yeah. I saw a YouTube of you playing the drums. Yeah.
I still play.
Yeah, good.
I still play till today, and
Awesome.
not just playing just to be playing or sounding like God knows who what. And
Yeah.
I can play very, very good.
Yes, you can.
Very well.
Yeah.
Are you in a band, or do you play at the church?
Drums
I
still
play at my church.
at the church still,
But
yeah.
I've also played in other bands and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I've even been thrown on a set of drums doing a live service.
Wow.
Without sight, by the way. Talking about before. We're talking about now.
You're amazing. But so again, I that's just a little aside that I wanted to pay tribute to, is your ability to function in the dark better than most when you even had your sight. And then you end up, at 25 losing your sight. And sometimes I lose my daughter. And so sometimes I just think, by imagining it or practicing it, it helps us almost prepare for it when it actually does happen.
Yeah.
And basically helps us survive. I don't know. That could be another topic, but So at the point, so here you are, and you're just like, okay, I'm doing this. Let's move to when you end up, you go home, you get out of the hospital. What was it like getting out of the hospital? And I know you said you were really looking forward to going home. Did you go to your condo, or did you go to your mom's place when you got out of the hospital?
I didn't have an apartment anymore.
So
Yeah, no, they got
rid
my lease was coming due anyway. Which I thank God for, by the way, because that was still coming out of my pocket and I wasn't getting paid. So I thank God that it was coming due. It was like perfect timing. Like again, happens for a reason. Timing was perfect
Yeah.
for that situation.
Yeah.
And back to the question though, when I left that hospital,
Yeah.
man, I wish I could have cut a somersault because I was so ready to go. I don't wish that on anybody.
Yeah.
I was there for 2 months.
Yeah.
May 5th until July 7th. I'll never forget it. That was my discharge date. I'm very good with dates, by the way.
So, didn't you get a ride? Was it a Charger you have?
My Dodge Charger. Yeah.
Okay. I just want to let you know I have a Mustang.
That's fine. My stepdad has one in the garage. So just to get you a little off topic, but I was gonna get one of those first before the Charger, but the guy at the dealership,
Yeah.
he's the one who turned me off because the one that I was talking about, he didn't want to sell it to me.
Oh,
Really?
No lie,
Okay.
no lie. I left and went to the Dodge dealership.
well, mine interesting. No, mine's just a V6 convertible, but you know what? It's my lady's Mustang.
Oh,
But I
dang.
love that you loved your Charger, and 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 you talk about did you not have a ride home from the hospital in your Charger?
For each.
Oh no, I talked about having a ride home in my Charger.
Okay.
My stepdad, because we talked about it before, I think it was a day or 2 before my
Yeah.
discharge date.
Yeah.
I said, "Hey, man, I don't care what I don't wanna ride in no Ford Edge," 'cause that was the other car they had. Said, "I don't wanna ride in no Ford Edge. Yeah, I want you to drive my Charger."
Okay. So yeah.
And he said, "Okay, I got you."
Yeah.
And so when he got there on July 7th, the discharge date, I said, "So, did you drive Diamond?"
It,
And he said, "Yeah." I said,
Diamond.
"Yes, somebody get me out of here."
Yeah, because again, you describe that and like your senses are just so alive describing it and the sound and everything. And that struck me as well is yeah, tuned into all of that and in the enjoyment of it still. The enjoyment, you were able to express enjoyment in a situation where many people would probably, I'm guessing, cave and pity party for one.
Right?
Now they would, but not I.
This is where the resilience is now showing itself. So how moving, to shifting your mindset. So you talk about the three points, the key points for people that you consider are absolutely essential for recovery. And you talk about it, in having your shots, in excruciating pain of learning to walk again, learning everything all over again. And one of the main lessons I wanted to write down for the folks was number one, embrace and confront the issue. Embrace and confront the issue. Um, and I wrote to you that this, or at least a note to myself, that this is jam packed with lessons from your life experience. And so when you talk about embracing and confronting the issue, and I know someone helped you with understanding that, um, but do you want to speak about that and how you feel its importance is to people's recovery, turning a situation around, facing adversity, anything that's their, monstrosity of a struggle?
Yeah, that, chapter, "Embrace and Confront the Issue," it
Mhm.
came from literally the depression phase,
Yeah.
and, uh, I was trying to stay in denial about, eventually I'll get my sight back, yeah, it's just maybe tomorrow morning. Yeah, let me just hurry up and go to sleep. I know to be back.
Oh,
Literally, these are the things I'm doing.
yeah.
Okay, if I just pray tonight that it comes back tomorrow, I know it'll come back because that's how this works, right? No, it's not
Mm.
how it works.
Mm.
And so when I'm going through this day after day after day, people come into my house to pray for me all the freaking time. I am now getting to a point where this thing is starting to have like a stronghold on me. And now it's pulling me down instead of me finding a way back up like I was having when I was at the hospital. Like I was finding my way up out of there. And then when I came back home, that hill started to go I started to go back on the downside of the hill
Okay.
into a valley. And I had to find my way back out of there because that valley was getting dark.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got to the point where, the prayers, I'm just like, I'm done with this. You know, I needed something to help me. And I felt like I wasn't finding the right answers. Mm. Until I finally called my uncle, that's who you're referring to, who helped me in this situation. The first part of him, of the feeling better about this situation was him just simply saying, I'm on the way.
Mm, yeah.
Why do I say that? Because it was like 8 o'clock at night
Yeah.
and I called his house and he's like, Key, because he calls me Key.
I
He
like
like,
that.
Key, I'm on the way.
Oh, jeez.
And I was like, oh, you what? Like,
Yeah.
oh, okay, he on the way. I didn't get dressed, nothing.
Yeah.
I'm just laying there, okay, he's on the way. I'll just, have some shorts and t-shirt on, cover up, just lay in the bed, gonna come back here and talk to me. Probably pray again, something like that, because he's a pastor.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, okay, here we go, another prayer. You know, the step 2 of him saying something that made me get even stronger.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, let's go for a ride.
Oh.
Wait, what? What?
Oh.
First off, you left your house at about 8 o'clock. Now you get here and you want to go for a ride?
Yeah.
Okay, this is showing that he really cares.
Yeah.
He's trying to get me out of my environment and into a better situation to where we can have a headspace moment and talk.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're riding and I'm just talking. I mean, when I say talking, kind of like what we're doing, but just me.
Mm-hmm.
No, you hear him every now and then. Yeah. He's not saying words. That's it. All he doing. And then we finally get somewhere to pull over and park. And he says, Key, I'm surprised it took you this long. And I was like, what are you talking about? He said, I honestly thought you would have broke down a long time ago.
Mm.
I said, I thought this would have came a long time ago. And I said, well, you got me there because I didn't. I thought I would be okay, you know? And you just don't know what you don't know. But as we were talking, that's when the phrase he told me, you can't keep running from this thing. At some point, you got to embrace and confront the issue. And that just meant facing it.
Yeah.
Don't sit there and run from it. Don't act like this is not real. We have to understand this happened. Now, what are we going to do about it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's where that came from.
Yeah. Yeah. So just a nod to the grief part of this, folks. It can be very, very difficult. I mean, this is obviously right up my alley in the grief talk world, but with the loss, you don't have to lose a person to be in grief, number one, but also embracing and confronting the issue, embracing it. Maybe they work together. Maybe one comes before the other. I don't know. Uh, it can be hard and
Yes.
it can take years.
Yes.
And in my case, it's taken years to embrace my loss. But I've always approached healing as having to be really genuine. And I learned a few years ago that if I'm not ready to heal something or accept something, I'm just going to acknowledge I can't do it yet or I don't want to do it yet, and we deal with it, because that in and of itself is another form of healing, just being able to accept what you can't accept. So I just wanted to put that out there. So this was a journey for you. You're 8 years in. How long would you say, and this is not a comparison at all, I'm just curious about your own journey. How long would you say it took you, or have you fully, fully, fully embraced this is your life without sight and without smell and without all of those things you had planned for yourself at the tender age of 25?
I'm not sure exactly like when I fully embraced it. I know that this is my life, but that doesn't take the suck away.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I'm sure you completely understand that.
I do.
I understand that this is my life,
Yeah.
but the suck has not went away, because
Yeah.
there's so many things that remind me that I'm blind,
Yeah.
and just the simple fact that I can't even do the job that I was doing anymore.
I know.
The simple fact that I was a year away from
Mhm.
earning my degree to become a pilot,
Yeah. Ooh.
so there are so many things that remind me. But this playing the drums, just this past Sunday, I missed the simple things that remind me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, I'm blind." But
Yeah.
I also laugh at myself too sometimes when I do that.
Okay.
So that can make it's like, that's another, like, part of for me, another part of, like, coping
Yeah.
is I laugh at myself.
Yeah.
Humor? Oh god.
Yeah.
You wanna talk about somebody, like, making jokes out of what I do? And it's me, okay?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I was going to bring that up just briefly, but you've already answered it, I think. But I was going to ask you if you thought humor, when you can reach that point, and it's dependent on your situation, um, does actually help you to this day. And you've answered that. Yes, it does. And I think it can help anybody. But there are a lot of situations it's very difficult for people to make light of, and also culturally wrong to make light of them. So just the fact that you do that, yay to you. I just we're at the top of the hour, and I'm gonna have to close off with you soon here. But I just wanted to acknowledge, one, I'm really grateful for your time and your honesty having this discussion. But I also would ask if you just speak a little bit. You come across as resilience, and you got this, and all the things we've talked about. But in sort of rounding this off, if you could just sort of speak to the fact that healing does take time, acceptance does take time, and you even saying in your words, because I think you're actually the same age as my son. But the suck doesn't go away. So that's not something I would normally say. I'm just saying Kiwi, but meaning that there are parts to this that still are, do you struggle with, or are you just annoyed with, frustrated with? I just want you to speak about that, so people don't get the idea that something bad happens and then you reach this point where you got a level of acceptance. you know in my case, listen, I'm going to have parts of the struggle probably till the day I die.
Right.
Okay, no matter how committed I am to letting my loss be a-okay, which again is, you're not really supposed to say that in the grief world. You're kind of the same. But do you want to speak to how healing does take time? What people can do, to be angry and down and in between, and is it a venture for you still where there's hills and you're up and down? What do you want to say about that?
Yeah, absolutely. What I will say is, and this is something that, me being a mentor as well as an ambassador for the Air Force One of the Warriors program,
Mm.
we talk about all the time.
Okay.
It's okay to not be okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's one thing we have to understand. It is okay to not be okay.
Mm.
The thing that we must do is try not to live there.
Yeah.
Don't live in that not okay moment.
Yeah.
Try to find something that brings that light in you back out.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I do. The humor that you hear from me,
Mhm.
that's me bringing that light out. Those drums, that's me bringing the light out.
Yeah.
When I speak and mentor to other people, that's me bringing the light out. I might be talking about the story that caused this, but at some point the light is going to shine again. And so when I do podcasts, whether I step on a stage, whether I'm mentoring and doing ambassadorship, whatever it is, even in my book, because I've had people write me personally, like DM me about my book that helped save their brother's life because he had a similar situation, motorcycle accident, lost eyesight, and he was thinking about taking his own life. And my book saved his.
Mhm.
these are the things that I do it for.
Yeah.
It's not about me now. It's about what life can I help,
Yeah.
and so, I do my best to not make it about me. I use my story to inspire, but not make it about me, so yeah.
Yeah, no, it's amazing. And I get that from you. And so, for the audience to be really clear, those of us that take this on as purpose work, we're here. Kiwi, you're here to do what you're doing. And I think for me, when I realized that, and I realized it pretty early on in my bereavement, that I had a purpose out of this whole loss situation, and I wasn't going to waste it. And that was a huge turnaround for me in not letting it overcome me because I didn't want to be on the planet. And it kept me going without intervention of any drugs or alcohol or any devices that would soothe the pain. No, I was, and you're very similar, if not the same. You take it, but I think it does help ease us into this full acceptance of this is our life. One, when we know what we had is never coming back, and for me, that took a number of years, like, to really, 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 really get this is my life. And um and the second thing I found for me, and maybe you did too for you, and I think you did because you just said it, it's not about you anymore. You use the experience as the story, but it's how it can inspire, can save lives. I've had the actual same thing as people writing to me and saying, your book saved me. And that's an amazing feeling to have without putting it as an egotistical thing, because the whole thing is like, this has to be worth something to go through something that is so awful other people, quote, can't imagine it.
Yeah.
Right? And I always say, I think we can imagine things, we just don't want to.
Yeah,
So
that's
that
2
is the
different things.
right, right. I think everyone can imagine something really horrible happening, and that is what brings about empathy and compassion, folks. So kudos to you for finding your purpose work. It does suck. It does suck. And for years in my bereavement, when people would say, "Oh, I'm sorry for your loss," I would always say, "That's okay." And then, I don't know, about 6 years ago, I went, "Wait a minute, it's not okay." And
Right.
so I'd go, "Yeah, it sucks. I'm sorry too." But, I'm doing what I can with the experience and leaving a legacy behind. And what I can say, Kiwi, is you're leaving an amazing legacy behind at still a very young age, but with a jam-packed life that you've had that a lot of people will never have experienced at any age. So, just amazing on that in that vein. What would you like to close off with? I did want to ask you, where are you these days? What's happening? I know you're doing motivational speaking. People can contact you at Amey, Amey, motivation.com. If you could just explain your resources, the services, what you do to help others. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. You already kinda highlighted most of it. So again, you guys can catch me at amymotivation.com. That is AMEY motivation.com. You can also find my book there, Don't Focus on Why Me, From Motorcycle Accident to Miracle. You can find it on Amazon, Kindle, Audible, as well as Apple Books. So feel free to check those out. As y'all heard, she's seen me play the drums, but if you go on amymotivation.com, you can too. If you would like to book me for a motivational speaking or professional resilience speaking and or coaching,
Yeah.
you can go on my website as well and book me there. And we can collaborate that way as well. So yeah, guys, go ahead and check me out. I'm also on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, as well as Facebook under Kijuan Amey. All you have to do is search Kijuan Amey.
Amy, yeah. I do want to end with you saying, I may have lost my sight, but I did not lose my vision. And I think that's a wonderful, wonderful personal statement that you have made. And do you have any, was there anything I didn't cover that you would like to leave the audience with, Kiwi?
Well, I will say that I am getting ready to start my own podcast actually. And I'm releasing it here in August 27th, 2025. It will be called the No Sight, No Excuses podcast.
I love that. No sight, no excuses. I love that. What's your focus going to be on that?
Really just real authentic conversations with me about, well, yes, I don't have any sight, but I don't make excuses about it. And then I'll have, different topics and different guests
Yeah.
who, whether they have disabilities or not, we don't make excuses about our limitations.
Aha, I like that. I really like that. Well, I wish you tons of success with that, but I think that you're very successful in just about everything you do
Thank
simply
you.
because of your attitude. And, you're definitely someone to look up to as a mentor, as a coach, whatever. So, again, audience, if you want to invite Kiwi to speak at one of your venues or to work with him personally, visit his site and amymotivation.com, and you'll find out all the things you need there. And I really recommend you read his book, get his book, read his book. I just loved it. So I really appreciate your time with me. I could just end up talking about lots of different things with you, but we have to close this one off.
Yeah.
And again, it's been such a joy. And I ended up asking you some things I wasn't planning on asking you. So I appreciate you, having a conversation that we went sideways a little bit. But I just love speaking with you, and really grateful we met, Kiwi. Really grateful.
No problem.
Thank you.